What's up, everyone? Welcome to the March 19th edition of DraftKings Tournament Plays presented by Prize Picks. I'm your host, Adam Scherer. You can follow me on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. And as a reminder, you get 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum when you sign up and make a deposit at Prize Picks. Be sure to use the code Awesemo to receive a 100% first deposit bonus up to $100. Today, we're going to use the Boom Bust tool on the Awesemo.com website to take a look at 5 of the top tournament options for tonight's 3-game NBA DFS slate. As always, be sure to tune in to Live Before Lock in the hour leading up until tip for more up-to-date ownership projections, player projections, and injury news. But for right now, taking a look at 5 of the top options as things currently stand. Starting at number 5, Kevin Love, currently projected for about 8% ownership with a 17% chance of being in the optimal lineup. Love is $6,100. He has power forward and center eligibility. He's one of the more volatile players on the slate because his playing time's all over the place, but he's also a very, very good point per minute fantasy producer. If you get a game where Kevin Love plays 28 to 30 minutes at $6,100, he's likely to be one of the best plays on the slate because he's averaged 1.24 DraftKings points per minute. Alternatively, if you get the game where Kevin Love plays 16 or 17 minutes, there's not much he can do to pay off a $6,100 price tag, even considering how good he is on a point per minute basis. But that inconsistency does drive down his ownership, and it creates a situation where typically on a 3-game slate, it can be pretty difficult to get modest ownership on a player that has such a high ceiling. Right now, we're projecting Love to be pretty low owned, and on a 3-game slate, that's a spot that I really want to attack. Number 4, sticking with the Cleveland Cavaliers, Isaac Okoro, $4,000, shooting guard, small forward eligible. He is projected for about 18% ownership with a 20% chance of being in the optimal lineup. Okoro is kind of the exact opposite of Kevin Love. You can pretty confidently expect Okoro to play 32 to 33 minutes tonight, but he's only averaged 0.61 DraftKings points per minute this season. He's not someone that you're going to be overly excited to get to, but there are a couple of good payoff options on tonight's slate, and it's a 3-gamer, so there's not a ton of good value. Okoro, expecting him to play 32 to 33 minutes in a favorable matchup, looks like a good point per dollar play. Number 3, Jeremy Grant, on the other side of that game in a difficult matchup against the Cleveland Cavaliers, $6,900, projected for 19% ownership with a 26% chance of being in the optimal lineup. Grant is power forward only on DraftKings, but he's averaged 33 minutes per game in the games that he's played with Cade Cunningham this season. He's also averaged 1 DraftKings point per minute in those games. Given the relatively low ownership for a 3-game slate, Grant looks like one of the better mid-range tournament options. Number 2, Howell Nedo is projected for 24% ownership with a 26% chance of being in the optimal lineup. He has point guard and shooting guard eligibility at $4,000. In the games that Nedo has started with Ish Smith as his backup this year, he's averaged 0.95 DraftKings points per minute, and he's averaged 24.1 minutes per game. Now, it's worth noting that in the last 10 games, Nedo has only averaged 21.6 minutes per game. You've seen his playing time drop off a bit, partly because Ish Smith is a competent backup that steals minutes. Also, adding Porzingis to the rotation, adds another body and takes a couple of minutes away from Neto. We don't know if Porzingis is going to play tonight, but one way or the other, on this slate, if you get 22 minutes or so from Neto, he is looking a little bit under-owned at his $4,000 price tag. And then number 1, sticking with the Washington Wizards, Kyla Kuzma, $8,000, power forward only. He's projected for about 30% ownership with a 34% chance of being in the optimal lineup. In the 6 games that Kuzma has played with Porzingis this year, he's averaged 1.07 DraftKings points per minute and 32.4 minutes per game. He has a good matchup tonight against his former team. And even if Porzingis is in, he appears to be going a bit under-owned at this price tag. If Porzingis ends up resting on the second half of the back-to-back, then I would expect Kuzma's ownership to increase, but I would also expect his chances of being in the optimal lineup to increase because in the games that he has played without Porzingis and without Bradley Beal this year, Kuzma's averaged 34.3 minutes per game and 1.19 DraftKings points per minute. So to recap, the top 5 tournament options on DraftKings as things currently stand: number 5, Kevin Love; number 4, Isaac Okoro; number 3, Jeremy Grant; number 2, Howell Nedo; and number 1, Kyle Kuzma.